Flammable cladding in Britain, a time bomb, waiting to explode. Anxious eyes dart back and forth, cautious feet on a minefield, hundreds fighting with their might to detonate, residents pacing up and down on their blocks, night wardens on shifts, alert neighbours before it's too late. Children afraid. Mummy, is it going to be us next? Are we the next Grenfell? Mothers forced to lie to their children, kissing them good night, tucking them into bed. Leaseholders reasonably stressed. Building regulations began to be questioned. Can't ever say Grenfell, Barking or Worcester Park wasn't pre-warned. Hundreds of buildings up and down the country. Parents dropping their children to schools concerned. Visiting relatives on the oncology ward. Looking out their bedside window. Hearts dropping. Recognising the cladding on Grenfell covering the hospital's walls. Voices once hoarse, from inhaling thick smoke, bellowing to be heard. A visible defiant demand projected onto Parliament. Pressure cannot be ignored. Demanding for sprinklers in homes, the removal of dangerous flammable cladding, the installing of fire-safe doors. Hundreds of buildings in Britain wrapped in a time bomb. Residents' demands they attempt to ignore. The time bomb is ticking. The state closing their blinds, complicit in this terrorism. So many names responsible. When will they be held accountable? Cutting corners, lives more important than buildings being aesthetically appealing. Grenfell Tower, to many was their palace, an eyesore to Rockfielding Mellon, Paget Brown and their cronies. We will never forget. Seems they have forgotten. They will be reminded again and again by residents living in tower blocks, by precious souls who lived in Grenfell, by those who survived, by families who lost their loved ones. When you remember Grenfell, the residents who lived there, remember their strength and resilience, hope for thousands in times of despair. 72 lives were stolen. 18 of these angels were children. Demands will continue for lives to be seen of value, for children up and down the country, for those living in a time bomb, Celotex, cladding companies, signatories responsible will be held accountable. 72 lives lost in Grenfell. We will never forget.
We will never forget.
The tragedy at Grenfell was entirely avoidable. The people at Grenfell Tower warned of the dangers of their building and they were not listened to. UKCAG is warning of the same dangers and the government does not seem to be listening. It is incredibly disrespectful to the memories of those who lost their lives that there are still thousands of buildings across the country that are covered in dangerous materials. The government has the power to make sure the tragedy of the 14th of June 2017 never happens again. In our recent mental health survey, more than 90% of the people living in these dangerous buildings said that their mental health had deteriorated, and more than 20% of people said that they had thoughts of suicide and self-harm.
3 years on, we remember our families, our friends and our neighbours, those who have passed and those who continue to suffer the tragedy that is Grenfell Tower. The problems that happened at Grenfell Tower are still common today, all over the United Kingdom. We have asked government for a deadline to make sure that people are safe in their homes, a deadline to make sure all of the flammable material on the outside of buildings is taken down and remediated,